Hi there, folks. Welcome back to Rule of Thumb. Today we're going to have a little sit-down chit-chat. And what prompted this video was a conversation between me and Heather at the Needy Homesteader about butternut squash. So, as you know, we both put out videos canning butternut squash, as well as Lisa from Sutton's Days, and we were talking about the various results as far as the headspace. Heather and I both talked about it in our videos, and there's been a lot of discussion in the comments sections. And so we were talking about it because hers really, excuse me, of course I sat down and now I've got a frog in my throat. We were talking about the fact that she decided to blanch hers for 4 minutes, and her headspace came out perfect. I did mine. I put mine in a pot with room temperature water, brought it up to a boil, and boiled mine for 2 minutes, and I lost some headspace. And so, in having that conversation, we realized that we did two completely different methods. And so, we started to talk about the resources that we used when we decided to canvas. Now, many of you know, and for those of you who don't, I am a huge cookbook fanatic and have a fairly extensive collection of cookbooks. So we started talking about it. Heather, of course, went for this book, which is the USDA Complete Guide to Home Canning. So she went into the book, looked it up. It said, tells you to go to section 4-20 for winter squash cubed, and it says prepare and process according to instructions for pumpkin. See page 4-18. So you go back over here, and the procedure says wash, remove seeds, cut into 1-inch wide slices and peel. Cut the flesh into 1-inch cubes. Boil 2 minutes in water. Okay, so this is the section that we're questioning. Okay, so in this book, in the USDA book, it simply says boil 2 minutes in water, then fill the jars with cubes, cover with liquid, leaving 1-inch headspace, so on and so forth. So I said, well, that's interesting. I used the Ball Complete Book of Home Preserving. Okay. And the instructions for pumpkin or winter squash are on page 393 in this book. And it says, after you've removed the peel or rind and cut the flesh into 1-inch cubes, it says, in a stainless steel saucepan, combine pumpkin or squash with boiling water to cover. Bring to a boil over medium-high heat and boil for 2 minutes until heated through, but not soft. Now, when I read this initially, before I started going back over it with Heather, I missed the combined pumpkin or squash with boiling water to cover. I just read combined pumpkin or squash with water to cover, bring to a boil over medium heat, and boil for 2 minutes. So I did like a method like you would if you were cooking mashed potatoes. I put it in a pot, covered it with water, brought it up to a boil, and boiled it for 2 minutes. So already we've got a discrepancy between the way that we both did it. So then we said, well, let's check another resource. So the next one we went to is this book, which many of you know, the Amish Canning Cookbook. And her instructions are on page 154, pumpkin and other winter squash cubed. And so hers says, peel and cut into 1-inch cubes. Place cubes of pumpkin or squash into large pot and add just enough water to cover. Bring to a boil and boil for 2 minutes. Another set of instructions. So this one doesn't say cover with boiling water. It just says cover with water, bring to a boil, and boil for 2 minutes. So we now have 3 different procedures from 3 different books. And just for, the sake of doing it, I checked one more resource, which is the Bernardin book. Now, this is the Canadian arm of Ball. So when I went to this, I found pumpkins, squash, and it says very similar to the book that I used, which is the Ball Complete Book of Home Preserving. It says place cubes in a stainless steel saucepan, cover with boiling water, bring to a boil, boil 2 minutes. So the exact same instructions. So Ball and Bernardin in this case, which it is not always the case, but in this case had identical instructions. So what did we get from this conversation? Number one, we're very confused about what the procedure is. I think we now know that the way Heather did it. So what Heather did is she brought her water to a boil. She put her cubed butternut squash in. It came right back to a boil because she had it on a very hot burner, and she set her timer to time for 4 minutes right away. I put mine in a pot with room temperature water, brought it up to a boil, and boiled it for 2 minutes. Hers clearly came out better than mine. Now, she had a subscriber that commented in her videos about apparently there is a cellular wall that needs to be broken down that traps air, which is why you have to blanch it. So there is that science, and I'm sure there's a lot of other science out there. So this video isn't necessarily designed to tell you which way you should do it. Any of these methods should work because the science should have been proven by them testing it. What I wanted to jump on here and do this video for was to say that experienced canners and newbie canners alike, when we are going to can something, even if it's something that we've canned before, maybe even several times, it is always best practice to go to your resources. And what this has brought to light for me and Heather in our discussion is to not only go to your resources, but maybe check more than one. So in this case, had I looked at the Amish book, the Ball, and the USDA guide, I probably would have taken all that information as an amalgam and decided, okay, which one's going to work best for me. Now, general practice would tell you by most vegetables that you would blanch, not cook. And because you don't want it to necessarily break down and fall apart, blanching seems like a better practice. So I probably would have concluded that blanching it as opposed to doing it the way I did it might have been a better option for me had I read more than one source. I read the Ball book, decided to follow their instructions, and didn't end up following them correctly anyway because I read too fast. So I missed the cover with boiling water, and I just covered with water. So I've seen a lot of you in the comments section talking about, potentially canning butternut squash, and I just wanted to jump on here, and especially everybody is kind of in full canning mode right now, and I wanted to jump on here as a reminder for everyone to check your resources, check multiple resources, have a conversation about it if you're not sure, get online, there's resources online, have conversations with your friends that can, and talk it out. And that's what Heather and I did. We talked back and forth. Well, what do you think? What maybe I should try this? What if I did it this way? And, we kind of came to the conclusion that the way that she did it seems to be the most effective way. So should I can more butternut squash here in the future, which is what I'm thinking about doing, I'm going to try and do it the way she did it. So I hope this video was helpful. I hope that it opens up a line of discussion. Please feel free to comment down below, talk to each other, ask questions. If you have tips and tricks, put them down below. But most importantly, as you're canning, remember to always do your research, always check, double check, and triple check. It's like building a house. What do they say? Measure twice, cut once. Well, canning is similar in the sense that you want to check twice and make sure you're doing it right because you only get one shot at canning it, because it's the safety of you and your family. So, get out there, do your research, check every time, have fun canning, and enjoy everything that you do. I hope you liked this video. If you did, please like, share, subscribe, come back and see us soon. And as always, I hope you have a great